So here we are going to talk about everything about Kanban coaching, my professional certification, that is also known as KCP. And this event is definitely being organized by AgileFever. And before starting, let me introduce myself. So I'm not able to click it. Yeah. So I'm Prateek Nigam. I have around 19 years of total IT experience. I'm an accredited Kanban trainer, and I'm also a Kanban coaching professional. I acquired this certification last year only. I did not even complete 1 year in that. And a part of this, if I talk about my, experience, 19-year experience. So yes, I am working into this, the word of agility from last 14, 15 years. And I have served Pfizer as an enterprise agile coach, Lowe's as a lead agile coach, and director of coaching practices for Asia Pacific region in BCG. And since last 2 years, I'm completely into testing, not testing, into training and consulting. Couple of clients I'm currently, you can say, working with them or serving them as a consultant. I'm also a founder of Agility Wave. All this introduction just to let you know that you are in safe hands, and whatever questions you are having, you can definitely ask. I would be happy to answer. One more thing, I'm not a Kanban coaching, Kanban KCP trainer. I'm a KCP certified. So from the best of my knowledge or my experience during that certification, whatever would be possible, I would be happy to share that. So yeah, let's look at the key attributes for KCP. Like, why do we want to go for KCP? First of all, there are a lot many certifications already there, like TKP, Team Kanban Practitioner, or Scrum Better with Kanban. Then we have KMP, which has two parts, KST and KSI. Then who should go for KCP and why they should go for KCP? Definitely one thing is globally recognized advanced credential, and there are around 1,500 people worldwide who are KCP certified. In fact, I would say KCP trained. When we talk about certified, they are far lesser than that. Then, the TKP is good for the people who just want to get familiar with the terminologies and the basic principles and practices. Like, if in my team Kanban is being used and I just want to understand that how this method works, probably TKP would be good for me. But I'm not responsible to design a Kanban system. But when it comes to designing a Kanban system, I must be acquiring, KMP, which has two parts: Kanban system design, where we learn how to design a Kanban system from scratch, and then in the organization, like how do we want to socialize it or scale it. So KSI, Kanban system improvement, more or less talks about that. Kanban Coaching Professional comes into picture. Let's say an organization basically hires you as a coach and asks you that, this is my organization. It's now in your hand. We want to go from, let's say, maturity level 1 to 5 or whatever their desire or their dream is. So Kanban Coaching Professional basically is a person who understands, first of all, that how to measure that how mature the organization is. For that, we are having Kanban Maturity Model that is going to help us. Also, Kanban Coaching Professional are very well versed in understanding the psychological aspect, cultural aspect, social aspect, and a lot of other things. So in this particular certification, definitely we get the mastery on Kanban Maturity Model in coaching. We are going to act like a leader when it comes to, getting an organization matured. We can be a trusted expert because the kind of, the discussions or activities or content we go through, it is definitely trusted, you can say, discussions, activities, and content. And yes, it's a very effective tool. Now, from the for KCP has two parts: Kanban Maturity Model and Kanban Coaching. Both of these, certifications, when we will go through, they both take around 2 days or 16 hours. If you are interested in knowing about PDUs, so yes, in KCP we get 6 hours in power skill and 10 hours in business acumen. And for KC, Kanban coaching, so Kanban maturity model and Kanban coaching, for Kanban coaching, we get 10 hours power skill, PDU, and 6 hours business acumen. Now let's see what do we basically cover or discuss in or learn in both of these certifications. So the duration of both of these workshops or these trainings or classes would be 16 hours. How is it designed? We get some video content first of all to go through before the class. Usually, this 16 hours, it is preferred, or usually it is designed in a way that, let's say for Kanban maturity model, it is going to maybe take place in 4 days. For me, I think 5 days were Kanban maturity model and 4 days Kanban coaching. And the reason was very clear. Like every day we used to connect for maybe 3 to 4 hours. But before that, there was a lot of content, video content or case studies, or a lot of material we had to go through. We had to prepare ourselves so that when we are going to the class, we are ready with all that basic knowledge or content for to participate in the activities, to have a meaningful discussion. So this way, usually these classes are designed. Prerequisite, it's good to know the KMP thing. In fact, it is very important that we have already gone through KMP, because Kanban system designing and improvement, these are something, the basic thing. When we understand these things, then only it makes sense to talk about organizational maturity. Same way for Kanban coaching, it is recommended that you should be KMP and you have already gone through Kanban maturity model, because what in Kanban coaching, what we are doing, we are going to look more about the human behavior, biases, psychology, social learning in the context of organizational maturity, that what kind of things can be the barrier. So if we have not gone through KMM and directly going for KC, there are chances that a lot of things we won't be able to connect with. And that is why this is a recommendation. Nothing is mandatory. And yes, certified, if you want to go for KCP. So KCP is a certification. KCP is a badge that you finally get after appearing for an exam. And in order to get qualified for that exam, yes, you will have to gone through KMM and KC, both the classes. Now, let's go a little bit more into detail that what usually we cover in KMM and KC. But before that, before entering to that class, the basic expectation is, yes, we should be aware about the change management principle, service delivery principle, and the 6 general practices which we are here having. And they all are the part of KST and KSI as well. We should be aware about the static model. Static, that is nothing but a coaching framework only. And full form of a static is systems thinking approach to implement Kanban. It basically talks about a step-by-step guidance if we want to implement Kanban from scratch. So they basically become a kind of prerequisite before going to KMM class. And all these things are covered in KMP, in KST and KSI. Now, let's say we are already aware about all these things and we are going to Kanban maturity model class, then what to expect there? First thing, we need to understand that common failure modes. Sometimes people, if somebody asks me that can Kanban fail, I would say that Kanban is already very mature. Kanban cannot fail, but the implementation of Kanban, how we are implementing it, it can be a reason of failing for that team. So, if we talk about two common failure modes, they are number one is overreaching. That means the team is not ready for that level of practices, but still we are trying to introduce that. Maybe if I'm the change agent, as an agile coach, as a manager, lead, or whoever, let's say I know about 30, 40 practices which I have worked on, or I have experienced, or basically helped teams to implement in my past organizations or something. Now I feel that these are all the good practices and this team should start working on them. So if I'm acting like a smartest guy in the room, and I'm going to suggest everyone that this is what you need to use, this is something we should not do. So this can be the reason behind the failure: overreaching. People are not ready for those practices, but I'm pushing them. Second thing can be submit the wrong plateau. That means we, little bit practices, for example, visualization. This is a very common thing that what people do. They are just having a board, and they think that because we are visualizing, we are having these stickies, and we are moving the items from one state to another. That means we are doing Kanban and we are done with Kanban. But that's not the case. When we are using Kanban is very deep. Here people get a false feeling that we are done with Kanban. They submit a wrong plateau, and that can be another reason behind the failure mode. So if you look at the right hand side figure, we can see a J curve here. Now, what does this mean? Whenever any organization or team, whenever they go for any change, a big change, what happens? Their performance go down drastically. It goes down because there can be lot of resistances. There can be lack of understanding, or a number of reasons. Maybe people are not able to learn or understand that new thing properly. A number of things are there which will take their performance down, and it stays down for a long time. And this is the time when organizations have to show a lot of patience. Most of the low mature organization, or the organization which struggle for funding or something, usually they are not even able to survive this period. And around 20% organizations, they basically close at that point of time. And there are around 60% organizations which are able to acquire their previous level, and only 20% organizations reach to wherever they wanted to go. Let's say this is point A and this is point B. Only 20% organizations are able to make to point number B, or you can say their desired state. Now, what is happening here? This J, we can see this J here, and this J, we cannot avoid it for any kind of change. Whenever we are going through any kind of change, this J would be there. Now, because we cannot avoid J, but we can reduce the size of J. Rather going for a big transformation and getting fail, or increase the possibility of getting fail, it is a good idea to maybe go for small changes and reduce the size of these J's. This way you will be more secure. The experiments you are running, you'll be more secure, and this way we can reach to whichever level we wanted to go to. So to avoid these failure modes, we are going to talk about all these things in very much detail in Kanban Maturity Model. And yes, we are going to learn about organizational maturity. We are going to talk a lot about behavior, practice, outcomes, and resistance that is coming from people. Resistance can be coming from individuals. It can be from the the culture, or maybe the values that organization is having at the high level. So we have to identify those resistance and try to how we can deal with that, or how to leverage the influencers. So all these kind of discussions and activities we basically participate in, and throughout the KMM workshop. Now, to give you an idea that of the Kanban maturity model, I understand that there's nothing visible in that, but yes, because of the copyright thing, I intentionally I'm having this blur picture. But I can give you definitely I can give you an idea. So when we say Kanban maturity model, the organizational maturity basically is divided into 7 categories by Kanban. The first category is Oblivious. Oblivious is when I'm working as an individual. Obviously, I have no process. I'm hardly having any answerability or accountability to anyone. It's my wish. I want to complete your task first or someone else's task first. It would be depending on that whichever work I'm doing, it is coming from the vice president of the team or an engineer of the team. So on the basis of that, I can definitely change the priority of that who is sending the work. So in Oblivious, things are very, very less mature, you can say, at the maturity level, at its lowest possible level, basically. And when the teams or organizations which are team focused, here they start learning as a team, but each and every person is working on their own task, own items. These items are maybe the request or tickets coming from different people in the organization or maybe out of your organization. They are definitely a team, but they are working on individual tickets. The another level is customer driven. Customer driven, the entire team is focused to serve one customer only. Definitely customer is having a goal and we are serving that customer. But at this point of time, teams don't understand that whatever they are working on, why they are working on it, what is the need of it, who are the user, what is the user persona, how this particular thing is solving their problem. They don't know. They are simply providing a service to a customer. But the fit for purpose organizations or teams, they are the people who understand that whatever I'm doing, why I'm doing, whether it is going to benefit the customer or not going to benefit the customer. So basically they understand the purpose behind whatever they are working on. But if they are fit for purpose today, it does not mean that they will stay fit of purpose after some time as well. Maybe the few things in the market will change, and these people they won't able to maintain their status as a fit for purpose. Why? Because these people are lacking in market research or understanding their user very well. So today my services are being liked by the people and I know what they need, but how market is changing, how customer behavior is changing, what kind of things my competitors are coming with, I'm not ready for that. And that is why I'm not risk hedged for future. So risk hedged organizations also invest in these kind of things. Then we have market leaders like organizations like you can say Google, Apple, Nokia or BlackBerry. But all of these organizations are not built for survival. Few survive for a long time, few are not able to. And it depends on definitely their behavior, that how much flexible they are in reinventing themselves based on the changing need of the market. So for each level of the organization, there are around 150 practices that we talk about. We talk about the benefits of each and every stage, the risk at each and every stage, what kind of actions should we take, or what kind of values these organizations or teams are having, and why they are basically at that level. And other things like what is their primary focus, and how fragile they are or anti-fragile they are. All these discussions we have in very much detail. So if a KMM certified person is going to an organization, they are not going to suggest the solutions or ready-made solutions based on their previous experience. They have all the tools and techniques to first of all identify that what is the current maturity level of the organization, and for that, what should be the next level of practices good for that organization to go for. So more or less, this is the discussions are around the maturity model in this 16 hours class. Now, the second part of KCP is Kanban coaching. So KC, so KMM and KC, there are two parts. KC is the another part. So KC basically focuses more on the behavioral part, psychology part, social learning, social part, or culture and values kind of thing. Because knowing about maturity model, their behavior, their practices is one thing, but human aspect is always there. And when you're going somewhere as a coach, so just by knowing about practices is not going to help. There would be people who are going to resist whatever we are going to suggest. Or maybe if they believe that whatever you are suggesting is the right thing, still there can be challenges. There can be limitations. Yeah. So KC focuses more on the behavioral part and values part. So evolutionary change canvas for ongoing work, design change experiment for sociological factors. We cannot just go and start implementing something. We have to invite people. We have to make them believe that there is a need for change, and for that maybe whatever metrics, data, information, or within the maturity model, that the 150 practices, we can go through some kind of the survey to identify that where we stand and what are our challenges. And then when people believe that, okay, this is where we are, this is what we need, then they are more motivated to improve their current level and experiment with some solutions. Reflect normative and structural change, identify leverage points for success, and guide leaders with pragmatic advice. So we always need a stressor first of all. Like if I go to someone and say that, hey, change this policy, start doing this particular thing differently from tomorrow, the other person will think that why? What is the problem with my current way of working? But if I would be able to prove that yes, there is a problem, so that kind of maybe visualization, data, or information is going to act like a stressor there. And then we should, once we identify that, okay, there is a problem, we should have a reflection mechanism that what it is, why it is happening, and how this thing can be resolved. And then we need good leadership, maybe leadership at all levels, where we want to create a psychologically safe environment where we can invite people to brainstorm and explore solutions, identify or maybe come up with the ideas and see how we want to take it further. If we go a little bit, if we talk about a little bit more to get a glimpse that what we cover in KC. So Kanban says that outcome follows practices, practices follows culture, culture follows values. So we should lead by values. Simply, you understand this thing in a way. Let's say the people who are sitting on the top of the organization, depending on that what values they are having, it will definitely going to define their behavior as well. They are micromanaging, or they are trusting people. So if, let's say, I'm the person who wants to ensure that hey, each and every person is going to spend at least 8.5 hours, and I will have some software that is going to detect that people are productive for. So this kind of culture is different. But if I trust people and I just trust them to for like whatever they are doing, they're doing their job well. So if I'm that kind of person, I'll definitely give them more freedom to experiment with the things, more freedom to maybe try with new technology, new tools, new ways of working. But on the other hand, if I don't trust people, maybe I want managers or leaders to guide them, to tell them that this is how you have to perform this thing or that thing. So our culture depends a lot upon what kind of values leaders are having, and based on the culture, our practices are can be different in different organizations, whether people are experimenting or people are doing whatever they are basically told to do. And because their practices are different, their outcomes are also going to be different. So this is one very important aspect that coaches have to take care of. And the other thing that here we discuss in very much detail, that what happens if any organization is moving from maturity level 2 to 3, for example. So current maturity level, let's say, is 2, and we have to take them to 3. We cannot basically ask them to implement all the practices required in maturity level 3. They will resist, and this particular transition is going to be at risk. So even levels are divided into two different categories. One is transition and another one is consolidation. I'm just trying to help you understand with a small example. Let's say I want my team to start using WIP limits on columns. I propose this change. Now, because people never ever did it, they can come up with a lot of questions and a lot of resistance, and they are saying, no, we don't think it's a good idea. So rather doing that, maybe first of all, I will try to make them familiar by introducing a per person WIP limit. Let's say nobody is going to work on more than 2 items or 3 items. So this kind of policy maybe we want to come up with first of all. And definitely people are not going to resist this kind of policy. I know that this small change is not going to help me improve the flow. It has nothing to do with the flow. But at least people are going to get familiar with the term WIP limit. And once they will see that somehow it is helping them from overburdening, the adaptability about the WIP is going to increase. So this was the the transition phase. Now here it comes the consolidation phase. When they are ready to adopt, now this is the time to introduce WIP at each and every column and manage the flow properly. So WIP was just a small example. This way there can be, let's say, 25 practices to move from one maturity level to other maturity level. So it is very clearly defined in Kanban Maturity Model that which practices are the transition practices and which practices are the consolidation practices. And around that and everything, the culture, social, emotion, trust, high trust environment, low trust environment, everything we are going to talk about during this KC workshop. And for a coach, it is very important to basically understand these things, because whenever we go to any organization, only knowledge is not going to help. These kind of things will always be there. So this was a little bit about KMM and KC. Now, if I give you some idea about how does the exam look like. So in my case, in quarter 2 2024, when I appeared for the exam, so you will get a link. You'll have to request the link, and the link expires in 30 days. But it does not mean that then you have to pay again or something like that. No. and they, on your request, they can provide you another link. So exam duration is 4 hours for 35 questions. So there are not going to be any subjective questions where you have to, write subjective answers. All the questions would be, you will have to select something. It can be multiple choice or single choice. Few questions will be having radio buttons. You have to select just one right answer, where few questions can have multiple, those check boxes. And yes, you have to prepare before appearing for the exam, to really identify that, let's say, in these 5 options, 2 can be correct, 3 can be correct, we don't know, right? So yes, we have to go really deeper to understand all these concepts related to KMM and KC. You can see here the 35 questions and 4 hours. That means within an hour we are solving around 8 to 9 questions hardly. 75% is the passing marks.